So let's start. I'm the director at 7 Security and did some stuff before with Cure 53 on version 1. If you are familiar with eLearn Security, I also wrote a course for them, Practical Web Defense, about hacking and defending web applications. Some previous presentations and then some certifications if you are interested in that. Then if you find this talk interesting, we did previously some similar work with another application mandated in South Korea. Basically, in South Korea, it was mandated by law that you would, like every child in the country should be like running an app so that the parents would be able to control them. And we audited that and we found a lot of problems. So if you find this talk interesting, you might be interested on that as well. So this is all like available for free. You can just check it. And these are other public pentest reports for mobile apps. So in this talk, I'm going to cover 3 different mobile applications and their background. First, we're going to talk about CloudPets, and then 2 Chinese police apps, right? So the Chinese police apps, one is called iJob, and this one is used by police to gather information about citizens, like on the spot, like asking them questions and filling forms. And the other one is more like they install an app on your phone and then get data from it, right? So I'm going to talk about those 2 as well. So let's start with CloudPets. Instead of explaining all the like boring stuff, like you have to press this and all this, I'm just going to show you a video, which will make this a little bit easier. So
CloudPets snuggle, CloudPets play, CloudPets share love every day. Send a message, send a song, play a game all day long. CloudPets, CloudPets.
Now with CloudPets, there are so many ways to send love through the cloud.
Welcome to Cloud Control. We have a story from Dad.
Story ready to send. Receive a story from your dad who's far away. Or a lullaby from Mom every day. Send a game to play with CloudPets Cat. Or trade messages with Grandma, easy as that. You can send so much love with CloudPets for $39.99 plus $6.99 processing and handling. Each CloudPet connects to the special free app that will download to almost any smart device, so you can send stories, games, lullabies, and messages. You can call or log on at cloudpets.com. Smart devices not included, each sold separately. Must be 18 or older to order.
Okay, so this is an ad from the vendor. And this is like a review that explains.
For family members who live far apart but want to stay close, try this cuddly option. Hi, I'm Laurie from TTPM, and this is CloudPets from Jay at Play. There are 5 animal styles to choose from, and we've got the teddy bear here. Each one works with a free app that lets parents, grandparents, kids, and other long-distance family members send and receive 10-second voice messages.
I really miss you and love you.
When you purchase a CloudPet stuffed animal, download the free app and register the animal. Then invite family and friends to download the app on their end. To record and send a message, the child presses the toy's right paw.
I can't wait to see you when you come to visit.
Through the app, determine who to send the message to and then send it. The recipient can then use his or her app to listen to the message and send back a response.
I can't wait to see you when you come to visit.
When your CloudPet has received a message, its red heart will light up and you can squeeze the toy's left paw to hear the message.
I can't wait to see you when you come to visit.
The CloudPet will only play one message at a time, but all the messages can be stored in the app. Only people who you have invited can send messages to your child's CloudPet. Also, a parent can choose to approve each message before it gets sent to the child's CloudPet. Also, through the app, kids can play games with their CloudPet or hear the CloudPet read them stories and sing lullabies. Additional app updates will deliver more interactive content. The CloudPet requires 3 AA batteries, which are not included. Now, the app is a free download from the App Store and Google Play. However, it is not compatible with all iOS and Android smartphones because it uses Bluetooth Low Energy technology. We tried testing it first on an LG G3 Android smartphone, and it was not compatible. While it did work on an iPhone 6 and a newer iPad, we had some trouble connecting the app to the CloudPet. We're not sure what the problem was, but eventually it did connect and work. So despite all of that, this is a cute product that would be great for long-distance grandkids and grandparents or kids and family members deployed in the military. It's just a cute and cuddly way to keep in touch, and it's for ages 3 and up.
I can't wait to see you when you come to visit.
For where to buy and current prices, visit TTPM and...
Okay, so that's in theory how it is supposed to work, right? And we saw that. So just to summarize, there's a parent and a child, and the parent is like far from home. And the idea is they can like send a message through the toy to the child, and then the child can like reply and stuff and hack the toy and all these kind of things, right? Which in theory is nice, but in practice you are going to see what happened. So yeah, that's basically the idea. And the other thing that you heard maybe in the video is that it uses Bluetooth Low Energy, right? So this is how it works, right? Like there's a mobile app on the parent phone, and the parent is like far from home, so he's away from the toy. So this, of course, is not using Bluetooth, because for Bluetooth you have to be close. So the way this works is like the mobile app is sending the messages and receiving the messages through the CloudPets servers, and then they are stored in Amazon S3, which for some infrastructure guys among you, you will be already like, oh my God. And then the children device, so they should also have like some mobile phone or something. The app is closer to the toy, so it communicates with the toy with Bluetooth Low Energy. So what could possibly go wrong, right, with this? So the first thing that happened was, and when this like got a lot of media attention, was that they had a Mongo database open to the internet without authentication. So you could like get all the messages from all the parents to all the from all the parents to all the children, like everything, like the whole dump, right? They got 3 ransom requests. They were indexed by Shodan, almost 1 million users at risk. And then the funny thing is, like, the vendor was like always, you know, this like vendor thing, like, oh, we never found any evidence and things like this, right? Yeah, so this was funny. This is a screenshot from Troy Hand's blog post about this, about the database dump. There were like emails, password hashes. The hashes, to be honest, were in bcrypt, but because there was no password strength enforcement, you could still like crack some passwords. So yeah, they got the first ransom, and these were like some security researcher was like tweeting about this. And this was like the initial timeline, right? Like first, actually, before they got hacked, there was a security researcher who found this and was trying to contact them like through Whois records, like every email address he could find. Like he tried like several ways to contact them, and they didn't reply. And then after that, they got the ransom from the real bad guys, right? And then another ransom afterwards. And then on the 13th of January 2017, they like removed the database from the internet, right? So that's the server side of the story. Now, what happens with the toy, right? Because the toy uses Bluetooth Low Energy, so what could be going on there? So there was this guy called Paul Stone, and he actually reviewed the toy in a lot of depth. And he found like there were like all the Bluetooth security features were not used. There was no authentication in the pairing between the device and the phone. So this is really scary. Like anybody can connect to the toy as long as it's switched on, right? That's all you need, that it's switched on. And also he found that you could get unencrypted firmware upgrades. So you could, like as it's trying to upgrade, you could like modify the firmware and hack the toy itself. So let's look at his demo, which I have here. So he's connecting to the toy. As you can see, there's no manual interaction. It's all through the phone. So anybody from the street could do this, right? Like connect to the toy. He's uploading the audio.
Exterminate! Annihilate! Destroy!
And he's like playing any audio he wants on the toy, right? So like a stranger on the street could do this.
First I connect to the toy.
This is the opposite. This is using it as a listening device.
Then I can make the toy start to record my voice. And then I can fetch the recording. And then play it back. Then I can make the toy start to record my voice. And then
Yeah, so So yeah, you can use the toy to play any audio you want without authentication, and you can use the toy as a spy device. Like you could, like for example, the neighbor upstairs, one floor up or whatever, like could connect to the toy and listen what you're doing at home, or play whatever sound to the child, like hey, open the door, so like a bad guy gets in the house or something, like try to fool the child, right? So there were like a lot of write-ups about the lack of security of this, a lot of attempts to get Spiral Toys, who is the company behind all this, to fix it. They did not reply to data breach emails, and I mean, they were not very cooperative, right? So after all this, there were like all these reports to the vendor, and then Mozilla asks us like, we want you to check if after all this time, like 1 year later, if the toys are safe now, because the vendor had arguably said that all the issues were fixed, so we were asked to check it. So because I'm in Viking land and I like all the Viking stuff, I decided to give some props to Jesper. I'm not sure if he's here, who worked with me on this project. That's Jesper and that's myself. So Jesper looked more at the hardware stuff, so he like opened the guts of the thing and he confirmed that the firmware upgrade was still not fixed. And yeah, what could possibly go wrong, right? So the first thing we found was that as you're trying to use the app, when you try to use the help, it goes to a clear text HTTP URL, which is called Tor, to give you like help. And this domain is currently on sale. It's still on sale this morning. I checked it again to record the demo, and it's still on sale. So it's a bit funny. Yeah, and it's over clear text HTTP. So even if it wasn't, you could still like man in the middle and display anything you want, right? So that's more or less how it looks. And yeah, let me show you the demo from this morning. So you open the app. That's the music from the app. And yeah, and then you click on tutorial, and you can see the clear text HTTP. You can. Oh, this is working. Oh no, it's not. You cannot see it. So you can see it's a clear text HTTP URL, right? And yeah, and you can see here like the domain, maybe for sale. Click here for more information. So domain for sale and clear text HTTP. So you get the best of both worlds, right? So if you got man in the middle, you can hack it. If you don't have man in the middle, you can still own the domain and still get them. And here you can put like some fake login page or something, right? So yeah, so that's one of the things we found. And another thing was that using the Paul Stone's work, right? Like the demo I showed before, he didn't make public the listening one, but he made public the one that can play his annihilate destroy message on the toy. So we used that because it was already there and it worked perfectly, even after upgrading the toy, because when you started the toy, it tries to get updates and stuff. So we let it update and everything, just to confirm if it was fixed or not. And everything still works. So this was all like not fixed. Like you can connect to the toy and use it as a spy device or push any audio you want, and still was working. Still no firmware protections in place, so you can still like push any firmware you want, and it's not verifying. It's not like signing or anything. It's just doing a CRC checksum, and that's it, right? So it's not a very good check. Yeah, and the other thing is they were still using Amazon S3, so all the messages are there, and as long as you know the location, and based on all you've seen before, you can probably guess a bit more. But yeah, it's there's no authentication, right? So in summary, you can store and replay voice messages with these toys. They expose the personal information of almost 1 million customers. And yeah, potential spy devices. Mozilla asked for a retest. We found they didn't fix much. And then they coordinated with Amazon and everybody else. They did all the hard work, and they actually removed the toys from the shops. So I think that's a good thing that, sometimes in the security community you see, oh, you can get away with getting hacked and not caring about security and nothing happens, and then even the shares go up because you are more known or whatever. So in this case, you can see like not taking security seriously actually resulted in the company going bust. I think they are broke now. So yeah, toys removed. So now let's talk about the Chinese apps. So yeah, there's the two apps, right? There's the iJob, which is the one that police people will use, like, for example, you're crossing the border or they see you doing something suspicious on the street or something like this. Then they would ask you some questions and then they would fill some questionnaire. So this is the iJob one, and then the BXIQ one is more like they install it on the phone and then get all your contacts, messages and everything and try to see your threat level, right? So the background of this is that the Chinese government uses these apps to evaluate the threat level of the minority Muslim population in a region that I'm not really sure how to pronounce, something like Xinjiang. And Human Rights Watch requested a project funded by the Open Technology Fund for this to investigate the potential violation of human rights. So this is the name of the thing. So integrated joint operations platform. So this is a system that the Chinese put together to collect data on the Muslim population of Xinjiang to determine their level of threat, right? So this is the idea. And because I know I'm not going to get the politics right, I'm going to let the human rights activists to explain this, because we just did the technical stuff and they did actually all the hard work, including risking their own lives to do all this. So credit goes to them, and I prefer that they explain it because I'm sure I will explain it properly.
I used to be one of those people, like, I got nothing to hide, I'm just a student, but I was very wrong. They're targeting everyone. As long as you're going out of your house, you're being surveilled.
In Xinjiang, in northwestern China, 13 million Turkic Muslims are already enduring extraordinary suppression at the hands of the Chinese government. Authorities there are building a surveillance state to be able to track their every move.
Across the northwestern province of Xinjiang, an estimated 1 million Chinese Muslims have vanished into a vast network of detention centers for what China calls re-education.
The region is now under what's probably the most intense government surveillance in the world.
Every 200 meters would have a police checkpoint. And then on top of that, there are all these checkpoints at public places wherever you go. If you're Uyghur, they stop you. They would just say, "Where's your ID? I want to check your ID." They would punch in the ID number and then they would see everything about you.
One tool at the heart of Xinjiang's surveillance system is the IJOP, or the Integrated Joint Operations Platform. The IJOP has an app that's used by police and government officials to track extraordinary amounts of personal information about individuals, ranging from their religious habits to their blood type.
Human Rights Watch got a hold of a copy of the app and used a technique called reverse engineering to look at the source code, basically the design of the app. This is what it looks like when an officer...
Okay, so I'm just going to stop it here because then I don't have to stop it later to explain something else. So basically, they gave us the app and we did all the reverse engineering, all the technical stuff. They were the human rights activists, so they were not like super technical. And one of the things that I will explain a bit more later that I did on this test was they had a phone, but it was like not routed to test this. And because this is an app that police officers use to log into some police server and upload all the information, the app was only showing a login screen, right? We didn't know like what's after. And even when we like reviewed the code and everything, it's all in Chinese and Google Translate is not perfect. So we needed to give the human rights activists a way to review the screens without being logged in, right? So to do this, I modified the app so all the activities of the mobile application would be exported, because normally if you are root or if the phone is rooted or you are running Adb as root, you can invoke any activity even if it is not exported on Android. But if the phone is not rooted, ADB doesn't run as root, and you won't be able to invoke any activity that is not exported. So long story short, I modified the app so the human rights activists would be able to see all these screens, and then they would make the decision, okay, this is really bad, or it's really not, right? Because, I mean, that judgment, it was more for them than for us, because it was like non-technical. We just did the technical stuff, right? So this was like coordinated work with them. And yeah, that's one of the things. And the other thing I did on this test as well was to translate the app, because of course it was in Chinese, so we didn't understand much or what to click or anything. So we translated the app. But all these demos that you see now, this is from the work that we did so that they could invoke the activities. And another thing that I wanted to say is that I gave them like a bunch of Adb commands. So with Adb in Android, you can like send commands to invoke any activity. So I gave them commands to invoke all the activities, like I scripted this, and then they would be able like to, using a script to call all the activities and more efficiently, because they were like a lot of, like every authenticated screen had an activity, right? So there were too many. So with this, they were able to more efficiently review the screens. So when you're looking at these screens, just remember that we did the part that made this possible. Like they would be able to see the screens and make a decision if it was really bad or not.
Officer pulls up an individual's profile. They enter the person's name, ID number, ethnicity, and then the officer takes a photo of the person's ID card to see if that matches the person's face. As you scroll, you see more information is being collected from the person, including their address, how tall they are, their blood type, their educational level, their occupation, their political affiliation, information about their car, license plate, driver's name, driver's ID card number.
On its surface, most of this information looks like standard fare for police, but as we dig deeper into the app, we can see that ordinary, routine, legal behavior is being treated by authorities as suspect.
This is what it looks like when the IJOP system has flagged someone whose phone number the system has lost track of. The IJOP system sends an alert to government officials to go and investigate the reason why that phone number has gone missing, and note if this person is suspicious and requires further investigation. Or here's another example. This is a report that the IJOP system sends to government officials about someone who used an unusual amount of electricity. The report includes the date in which the unusual amount of electricity used was logged by the system, how much electricity was used, what was the meter reading, and what is the usual range of electricity used. Then the government official is required to go and investigate this person.
If you use WhatsApp or Viber or Telegram, that might be considered suspicious. If you go at the back door of your house instead of the front, the police might turn up to investigate. The list goes on. The information from the app feeds into a central system and combines with information from other surveillance systems, including CCTV cameras that rely on facial recognition software, and even Wi-Fi sniffers that are used as people walk through checkpoints to pull information off their phones. The IJOP system aggregates all this data about people, flags those it deems suspicious, and sends alerts to nearby officials. These dubious criteria are being used to identify large numbers of people, many of whom are then arbitrarily locked up.
In total, I spent about a month in different jails. I wasn't officially accused of anything or charged with anything. The official paperwork said something like, I was arrested under the suspicion of disrupting the societal order. Then after that, I was basically under house arrest, because they marked my ID card.
It's time for the Chinese government to stop persecuting perfectly legal behavior. It's time for the Chinese government to end its repression of Turkic Muslims in Xinjiang, and it's time for it to dismantle this surveillance state.
Okay, so that's the human rights activist explanation. So that's the politics out of the way. So yeah, this it was developed by this Chinese Electronic Technology Group Corporation, a state-owned military contractor set up in 2017. And yeah, they are mostly focused on artificial intelligence, big data. So it seems to make sense that they might be like a good choice for this kind of data gathering stuff. And yeah, it was supposedly compromising the human rights of the minority Chinese population. So we had to figure this out. So the first problem, and we had this with Smart Sheriff as well. Smart Sheriff was in Korea, so it was all in Korean, and we had to translate it. So this was the same thing. With APK tool, just decompile, then look for strings XML, Google Translate it, and then with APK tool, again, you just build the APK backend, sign and install. Love APK tool. And yeah, it's really not like a proper translation. It's like broken English, but for us, non kind of Chinese, there's really no Chinese, it's Cantonese or Mandarin, right? But for those of us that don't speak Cantonese or Mandarin or any of those like Chinese languages, the broken English app version is like way better than all these like symbols, right? Like at least you know like more or less what it might be about. Now, another thing was just in case, you know, just set up Tor. So if you're like checking an app that you don't really know, just when you man in the middle, just set the Tor as an outbound proxy to burp, and you can still like inspect the traffic. But you know, if anything, if they go after you or whatever, you have some peace of mind that you know they won't hopefully know your IP, right? So that's another thing that we did. And then the issue that I was explaining before during the demo, right? Like what's after the login? Because we were given this app that was leaked from the police, but they didn't know. I mean, we can't log in because we don't have a login to log into the police systems in China, right? and that would be like crossing a line as well, even if we like had some password or something. So we need like a way to show what's after the login, right? So that's what we did, just again with APK tool, but in this case changing the Android manifest, export all the app activities, just changing the manifest, export it to true, and then just build it again. And also like I automated this a bit with a script to give them the Adb commands so that they can invoke the activities, because they were not very technical, and then with this they were able to look at the screens, right? Because we will look at a screen, but we don't have like the human rights activist background to decide if that screen is bad or not, right? And they did, so that's why we did that. Now, in this report, this is not really a pentest report. These are kind of analysis report, right? Because we're like trying to find evidence of activities, right? Like the goal of the test in this case was not to find security vulnerabilities, it was to find what are they doing with this application. So this is why the severity is not like high, low, medium, critical. It's like proven, unclear, you know, this kind of language, right? So in this case, blood type and political views, this was proven, this was clear, like there's a field for it on the form, so it's clear, it's not speculation. And yeah, like the assumed goal of the app was massive data collection to mine and gather data about individuals, and we were like trying to find like what kind of indicators are there in the app, right? So we were looking for the technical evidence of these potential issues, right? So yeah, we found some evidence of this, and then you have here like even like the height, the blood type, or like all this was there like in the app, right? And interestingly, it's in English. So yeah, so this is of course all the compiled code. This is the app. As you can see, like the translation is not perfect, but at least like height and blood type and all the other things were translated fine. And then the electricity consumption, I found interesting, right? Like because maybe their thinking is like if electricity consumption goes up like a lot in a house, then maybe that guy is like doing something weird, right? Like building a bomb or something. Maybe that's the logic. I don't know. Probably should be something along those lines, right? Like if somebody's electricity consumption triples all of a sudden, like what is that person doing, right? Like maybe that's the reasoning for this. So yeah. I think their thinking is probably like with all this like radical Islamic terrorism, maybe they're trying to like spot if somebody's like doing something funny, right? So they were checking like if there's something abnormal about the electricity use, and they were also, I mean, this is all like a little bit of an invasion of privacy, of course, but I think that's their thinking, is my guess, right? Yeah, and then it's like employing a database that aggregates a variety of data about the individuals. And well, the Chinese are known to do all these like facial recognition. They have like cameras all over the country as well. And yeah, so there's some assumptions in this. It's not like all super clear, but more or less, we found that a police officer can file a report to investigate the occurrence of unusual power consumption, and they can do so for any given date and mark any reasons for the same, right? So this paves the ground to additional investigation by the other agency, and yeah, and then there's like some mitigation in case of false positives, and a justification by law enforcement, right? So yeah, that's the electricity stuff, and then here you can see like all the fields for this that we found in the app. So it's pretty evident that they are checking this. Another thing that we found was the tools that they use and possess, right? An option under electronic appears to refer to problematic tools and tools that may be implemented to make explosives. So they seem to be tracking this as well. And they identified that officers were capable of saving and submit a report to the headquarters about explosive materials and tools, right? So an officer can ask for investigation of the matter, and then this investigation could be handed over and carried on by the public security agency. So this is the activity itself, and it's pretty like clear as well. Like there's some clear evidence about this, and yeah, there's like different. So the app is just one of the parts of the system, right? We looked at the app itself, but there's also like CCTV cameras with facial recognition. There's Wi-Fi sniffers that the human activist was talking about in the video. The Wi-Fi sniffers will probably be tracking the MAC address of the phone to correlate it with other data. And then they correlate all this with license plates, citizen ID card numbers. Then there's also like car ownership, health insurance, like all these things we found as well. So yeah, there are a few checks. Then there's no effective privacy. Like this, it's not like Europe, right? Like with all these like data protection laws that we have here, like things are a little bit different over there. And yeah, there's not really a lot of information about what they are doing, and there's no formal system to find out what information is held about them. But that is more or less the status of this. So these are the Wi-Fi sniffers that we saw before, and yeah, and then it's like unclear how these things are related, and how like the databases and everything else is connected, right? Like, because we just looked at the app, but the like big data picture of all this is like difficult. Like we are not inside of the Chinese government systems to know how they correlate all this, right? Like we can only make guesses based on the app. And yeah, this the human rights activists argue that these are intruding on the privacy of citizens, and yeah, putting at risk people being presumed innocent and all this, right? So in summary, we found the concerns expressed by Human Rights Watch were valid, and the analysis was funded by the Open Technology Fund. Yeah, and we actually did a lot of close collaboration with the Human Rights Watch team, because of course, this required them to tell like if something is bad or not, which we didn't know. We just did the technical part. And yeah, potential violation of human rights. Other things from the conclusion is like evident and undeniable that the app is capable of collecting and managing vast amounts of specific data. Yeah, and according to the European Convention of Human Rights, this would be like a human right violation, right? According like to this kind of classification of things. And yeah, that's what I said before about the different severities. It's not high, medium, low. It's like proven, unproven, and all this. So yeah, this is a picture of that. And then let me talk quickly about the other app. So this, I mean, the app I talked about before is like data collection, like police stop you and fill a form and things like this. And this is more kind of invasive, right? Because in this case, they're actually installing an app on your phone. So they are like stopping you on the street and installing an app on your phone. And then this app gets like all your contacts, all your messages, and all this. So I think this is a more clear kind of privacy concern app than the previous one, right? So yeah, we reversed the app, so you could argue it's white box methodology because we had even though it was decompiled, we had the source code. And yeah, we reviewed that, and it was similar, right? Like they gave us an app, and then we had to check like what was it checking. And in this case, it was checking, for example, which apps are installed on the phone. It was checking other things, right? And let me see. So yeah, what did they seek, right? So they were looking for extremist Islamic content, any kind of material on Islam, academic books on Islam, copies of the Quran, Japanese metal music, I don't know, and radical propaganda. So yeah, this was also by the Open Technology Fund, and yeah, we did a source code audit, and yeah, the app isn't, of course, available from Google Play or anything like this. This, like the previous one, it was like a leaked app in some way by the human rights activists. They gave us the app, and then we took it from there. So let me see, 7 minutes. So yeah. The research was carried out as delicately as possible, meaning that we were trying to be a little bit stealthy, like we would not like hammer their servers or scan anything, like try to do like everything locally and without like raising suspicion by the authorities or anything like this, right? Like focusing on the app itself. Yeah, so some of the issues found, collection of IMEI, IMSI, Wi-Fi Mac, Bluetooth Mac, other information about Android, text messages, sent and received, list of contacts, calendar entries, country codes, and call history. So pretty much everything. That can tell a lot about yourself, right? And then other things, yeah, like hardware usage, all app usage details, and the MD5 hash of the app. Current contact details, and then looking for through the SD card, we also found this Get Via Account application that would help access the phone numbers and email addresses, right? So yeah, so all personal information was at risk, and then this is like the Get Via Account thing. So then this was really funny, like, because like a government level application that is like it's like gathering all the data and then it's sending it in clear text HTTP to a server in their network, even though it's a server in a local address, but come on, like HTTP. It was a little bit, yeah, funny. So yeah, zip file sent over clear text HTTP. So that's what the app is doing, right? It's gathering all the information, then it creates a zip file, and then it sends it to this server in the police network, right? Like some. So the way this, from what we looked at the app, the way this works is they install the app on the phone, The app is connected to a Wi-Fi server that they control, and then the app collects all the information, sends it to the server in their Wi-Fi network. It's probably something they have on the car or something, and yeah, then they have the data, right? So from what we saw in the app, that's what they were doing. So yeah, there's an indication of a Wi-Fi server. And the app doesn't contain a feature that supports an open hotspot, so there should be, in our opinion, some server on the Wi-Fi network that the police connect to and then are able to gather this. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Then they like to store stuff on the SD card. I don't know why. The SD card, if you are not very familiar, is an insecure location to store sensitive stuff, because like all the apps can read from there, and you can like, even without knowing how to unlock the phone, you can extract the SD card in some phones and read everything in there. So yeah, they do this. We also found like they had something that skips the Ssl validation. It's funny that when we did the South Korea one, it was also a similar issue. Like there was a allow all hostname verifier. So on top of using clear text HTTP, they also have code to ignore like SSL warnings and stuff. Yeah, and then we found in this case much more clearly than the previous one that the concerns by the human rights activists were valid. There are potential violations of human rights. Yeah. Evident and undeniable that the application is capable of collecting and managing vast amounts of specific data. It is certain that the gathered material can become a basis for further action. And according to the European Convention of Human Rights, which is the standard against which these things are measured, the above practice can be considered a human rights violation. So yeah, the plethora of information gathering executed by the app, as we saw at the beginning, like all these contacts, messages, like everything, and the transmission of all this data to a local police file server. And we already saw the demo before. So in conclusion, we looked at 3 apps, CloudPets, iJob, and BXAQ, the last 2 being potential violation of human rights. And Human Rights Watch raised concern about the Chinese ones. And yeah, and of course, all the analysis here was like technically driven. We are not like human rights activists or anything, so we are not getting into the politics. We're just like helping the human rights activists with what they needed, but I'm not like really sure about the political background, all this, and this is why I played the video, letting the human rights activists speak, because I'm not yeah, I'm not sure about this. If you are into hacking mobile apps, we have a training next week in Amsterdam and in India, if you are watching this online, and another one in Texas. And if you cannot make it, there will be some training portal. You can, and if you want to connect or ask me anything, go ahead. That's it. So more or less 45 minutes, as I was told I should use. So any questions?
Thank you. First of all, a big round of applause. Yeah, not to be overly political, right? But how well would you say that the iJob app was written?
How well?
Yeah, you reversed it. You looked at the code. And it's like you're like, oh my god.
Well, it looked a little bit shitty, right? Like you see like all these like clear text HTTP. Like you would think like governments would do things much better than this, right?
You think governments do things better?
That's my assumption, right? At least, like you expect like government. Close to unlimited resources, access to the best developers in the world, like in theory, right? Like it's like much stronger than any company in theory, right? Like a government. So with that thinking, I would expect like much better than this. But we saw this pattern as well on the South Korea one, right? Like they mandated an app in the whole country, and it was as well using clear text HTTP first. And we reported this, and in the second test, they were using SSL, but ignoring SSL warnings. So almost the same thing. So I don't know. Maybe part of the reason is it's an internal server, so they don't really see it as a threat. Like it's something in the internal network of police, and if somebody is doing man in the middle there, they have bigger problems. Maybe that's their reasoning.
But you found vulnerabilities in the second app, the what was it, BXQ, whatever.
Yeah.
But you didn't find the vulnerabilities in the iJob one?
We were not looking for vulnerabilities. We were looking for evidence of what the human rights activists were looking for. So that was because the app was huge. Like it was, I don't know, like only for the activities. Like I don't know, I don't remember. Like, but just to say a number, it was more than 100 screens. It's a huge app. And the goal was not to find vulnerabilities. It was to find evidence of what is this app doing, what data are they collecting. Right. And basically, the human rights activists sent us a question, a list of questions. Like, we want you to answer these questions. Like, what data are they collecting? What are they doing with this data? Where are they sending it to? And we had to look at the app and answer those questions. It was not like a normal pen test. And this is why I'm saying, like, it was all like proven or unclear. Yeah, and there's another app coming as well. I can't talk about it yet, but.
Right, I'm not insinuating anything, but I'm thinking that finding vulnerabilities in this could be interesting.
Yeah.
So where can we download it?
If somebody comes to the training, I will share it with them. But it's not public. Maybe it's online. I don't know.
Because it made me think about this responsible disclosure.
Yeah.
Irresponsible disclosure. Isn't it irresponsible to not disclose?
That's
it's a hypothetical question. I think maybe some people would be thinking that right now.
I didn't look, so I wouldn't say.
I mean, I'm not a hackback kind of person, but you can make a bug bounty. Maybe somebody could do something.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, we didn't. It was not the goal of the audit, so.
No, I get it. I'm just sure there's activists that would like to.
Yeah.
Give a crack at it.
Probably, yeah. Why not?
Also, about go back to the.
Oh, and the IOP one, I forgot to say. Like, there's some concerns that they are using this app as well with tourists that cross the border, like both apps, the IOP one and the BXAQ one. Like, if you're a tourist and you get into China, they might like install the app on your phone and do all this kind of stuff on your phone. Even if you're just a tourist, you're not Muslim or you're not Chinese or you don't live there, you're just visiting. They are going.
Or listen to Japanese metal.
Yeah, maybe.
Always be wary of those. So you say it's going back to the CloudPets thing. Is it impossible to find them now?
I don't know. We were just given the app, so I never had to bother.
Because their commercial didn't make me want to buy it, but your commercial for them made me want to buy one. Which is a shame that we don't have more of them, or we don't have any of them in our gadget shop. Those were selling points. Those were features.
Yeah.
All right. With a lot of people in the audience, I'm sure there's more questions from the audience. So we have mic runners, and there's a question here.
Hi. Great talk, by the way. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What was the Android emulator you used to do the reversing, or to do the live demo, like when you pushed it through Burp?
I like to use Genymotion.
Okay.
That's just a personal preference. Like, some people prefer to use the official one, but I always use Genymotion most of the time.
Cool. Thank you very much.
No problem. And I use the paid version if you are interested.
More hands in the air.
Just because of the ability to have the bridge adapter, sometimes it's handy, like you have it on the same network as the host, and you can like FTP, or get files over SSH more conveniently. It's personal preference, so you can do it in many ways. Any more questions?
Is it harder to ask questions when there are more people in the room? Are you waiting till after the talk to ask him personally questions? All right, do we have questions from online?
No, we don't. But this is a friendly reminder that if you don't want to raise your hand in front of a room of 800 people, you can submit them on Twitter.
Oh, got one over here.
Hi, Krishna here. Aren't those apps are obfuscated? You used APK tools to decrypt it. Aren't those obfuscated code? Is a plain text. The code I have seen is plain text, right? So
yeah. It was not very strongly obfuscated. APK tool only gives you the Smalley code, and to look more at Java, you would be using other like more advanced decompilers that give you the Java, like Prycon or this. Normally, when there's some strong obfuscation, I find that JDX tends to work better. I'm not sure why, but it gives you more Java files than the others most of the time. So, and another thing you can do is like run several decompilers, like some tools do this as well, and then try to see, try to get the Java files that one didn't get from the other, and with that try to complete the picture. It depends, because different compilers break in different ways, because they're using like all these anti-reversing tools and stuff to break the decompilers. So sometimes you have to try several. But most of the time, JDX, I find, tends to work pretty well.
And regarding that electricity tracking, Chinese government use that electricity tracking to track down who is using crypto miners rig. So, like, if you are from some clan who may abuse the system, so you are looking for money, and crypto miner is, you are mining Bitcoin and all. So they try to track the crypto miners who is mining Bitcoin and Litecoin and all, right? So they look for electricity users for that reason.
So they're not looking for basement greenhouses.
Thank you.
All right, more questions? Well, you're going to be interviewed by security podcasts after this.
Sure.
So
if anybody wants to ask me questions, just
and you'll be around.
I'll be around today, tomorrow.
All right. Thank you very much again, Abe.
Thank you.